welcome back to the Barrel Zone. This is the Thursday morning edition, episode 14, and we have a 5-game NBA slate to talk through today. But first of all, we are going to do a bit of talking about the James Harden trade that just went down overnight. I'm going to give my opinion on the trade and see if there is any betting value maybe coming after the trade, as there have been multiple critical pieces getting moved overnight. So the trade that basically sent Harden from Houston to Brooklyn was a 4-team trade. The Rockets got Victor Oladipo, a couple of fillers, and 4 first-rounder picks. Basically, that's the end of it. So like Oladipo and first rounders, a couple of extra players who probably won't get into the rotation. The Nets are getting James Harden, of course. The Pacers are getting Caris LeVert and the second rounder, and the Cavs are getting Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince. So this trade had to be done after the Rockets basically Harden said that he won't play anymore, and he just forced them to make a move, and they made a move quickly. And I think this was a pretty decent move considering how everything had to be set up in such a short time period, and I really thought that they will get a much worse return for Harden, to be honest. But this is, I think, as good as they could get. Oladipo obviously is a slight downgrade from Harden, but he's still averaging 20 points. He has been looking much better this season than the season before, and he will be a free agent next year. I mean, I think Houston probably will want to re-sign him after the year is over. But now they have some time to see if the core of the team will work, if Oladipo and Vol can work together. And the team has only played just a handful of games. It is still very early in the season, so I think this was a good move from Houston, going for Oladipo basically instead of LeVert, as they had the option to keep LeVert. Especially as if Oladipo works, they can re-sign him next year. If he doesn't work, they can do probably a full rebuild next summer or even before, as Oladipo can be traded, I think, in March as well, before the trade deadline. So if they see by then that this won't work, they might want to do a full rebuild. We will see. But they got four first rounder picks. I mean, that's a great return. And yeah, I think the ceiling here is that they get into the playoffs, and maybe even they win one round. I think the floor is still relatively high if this core is getting kept together. We will see how this goes. But I mean, if you look at the division, like Memphis is done, the Spurs and Pelicans, I think both teams have huge issues, and Dallas is beatable. But I mean, I don't think it's out of the question that they still win the division, but they could finish like third or fourth if this team doesn't get kept together. So for the Nets, obviously this is the most important thing. This is why I wanted to talk about this. I mean, now the Nets have the three of the 10 best scorers in the league. So they have Irving, Harden, and KD. My issue with the trade, to be honest, is they gave up Allen, who has been their starting center. He has been averaging like 10 and 10 or over 10 points, but basically 10 rebounds. He has been amazing, and he's still a young guy, like 22. And now they will have only DeAndre Jordan basically as their starting center, who has been very, very bad. If you check the stats, he is the worst player in the league when it comes to turnover rate. So 39% of all balls handled by DJ gets turned over. Pretty rough stuff. Again, Dinwiddie is out for the season. We don't know about Irving. He will probably come back. But I mean, the depth is just not there yet. And I think this team will work in the playoffs. But if you look at the bench right now, they have TLC, they have Jeff Green and Bruce Brown, and then a couple of guys most never heard of. So it's one of the worst benches in the league. They still have 3 open roster spots. The mid-level exception, and they probably will be able to get the disabled player exception for Dinwiddie being out for the season. But I think they will have to make some moves here. They will have to get a couple of guys, build up a bench. As I mean, this trade made it clear that they want to contend. And I'm not sure they can contend with this team. I mean, this team is so thin. They will probably get through most Eastern teams, probably all Eastern teams. But I mean, they will never beat the Lakers with such a thin team. That's 100%. So if everyone is betting the Nets to win it all, you should bet the Lakers right now. I think this team is just too thin. We'll see what moves they can make. But it's difficult, and these guys, I mean, they're all like high scorers. There might be an issue of building out some chemistry here, and Kyrie has to accept that he will be probably the 3rd best player on this team right now. And we've seen Nash not finding the right tone with Kyrie. Harden, we know, can always turn into a ticking time bomb if he doesn't like it. And then I talked about Brooklyn facing a super easy schedule so far, and we don't really know nothing about the team. They faced one of the easiest schedules. I mean, they did look good against shitty teams, but I mean, yeah. So we don't know if this team will be able to contend. Obviously, great names. This is good for media. But I mean, yeah, I think they will need to acquire some pieces, and I'm also not trusting Nash, to be honest, to be able to pull through and like win a finals against a much better coached, much deeper Lakers team on the other side. So I'm not sure I like the trade that much for the Nets. I mean, Levert has been a key piece for them. Their bench is super weak, and they gave up a very young center. This is like really do or die, but I do think they will need to get some more pieces. And just a few minutes on the Pacers and Cavs side. So the Pacers basically needed to trade Oladipo. We knew for a while that he wasn't happy there, and I think they did this pretty right. I mean, Levert is still a young guy. He's a small downgrade, but they have tons of depth, and I don't think that will be an issue. Levert can get into the starting lineup probably instantly. He always wanted to start, so it's good for him as well. And most importantly, the Pacers get out of the luxury tax. So it's a win-win-win. They have a new full-time starter, young guy. He's on contract for a few years now. So I think it's a decent move for the Pacers. And yeah, for the Cavs, I mean, that they are the best right now. They basically gave up nothing and got Jarrett Allen, who is a 10-10 player. He will be able to back up. I mean, he is probably starting in the center spot pretty soon, or at least there will be a timeshare between him and Drummond. And if Drummond goes away, I mean, Allen is a young, talented guy. You can rebuild. You can include him in a rebuild. I really like him, and they gave up basically nothing. And Prince is a solid bench guy, especially on a Cleveland team that hasn't been so great so far. So yeah, overall, I think I really like the trade for the Cavs. It made sense for the Pacers. I think the Rockets will be fine, and as Oladipo is a free agent next year, I mean, this summer they can decide if they want to keep it or just do a full rebuild. And as for the Nets, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the move. Obviously, I know what they wanted to do, but they can kill the East, but they won't kill the Lakers with such a thin team. It might just be an issue deep into the playoffs, so they will get there and the floor will be high. But if when it comes to betting, I mean, they will be asked to cover 8 to 10 points every day, and I mean they have been able to play average defense, bit better than average defense overall. If you check, the level of competition has been very low that they faced. So I mean they will put up 140, but they will get probably 130 scored upon every second night. So I think ATS, this will be a team to fade, especially like first half or second quarter when the backups play. Yeah, as long, I mean, before they get some extra depth, that's it. Obviously, they can still do some trades and get a new center and some bench guys. They will probably do it, but I still don't believe that they are the best team in the league right now. So that's about it, and we will get into the betting slate. I will put up my odds screen. We will use Sports Insights as always, and we will get into this 5-game slate. We have 3 games off the board and 2 games online. The first game we are going to talk about is the Philadelphia 76ers hosting the Miami Heat. This is a rematch. The same game was played 2 days ago. The difference here is that Philly is getting almost everyone back. So the first game, it closed the Sixers -8.5, and Simmons and Embiid were playing, but Harris was out. And Harris will be back here along with 3 or 4 guys from the bench. So Philly is almost back to full health after the COVID situation. I mean, I don't really want to lay 11 points, obviously, but if you look at the Heat, they will be without Butler, Dragic, Bam, loads of backups. Nunn is also out. Bradley, Leonard, Harkless, Haslam. I mean, if you look at the injury list, it just goes on and on. I think the line is probably right. So the first game closed -8.5, and we add the Harris and some bench guys back. You will be probably around 11, 12. Maybe this still has some space to move towards Philly, but I won't be playing this game here. All right, next game, Toronto Raptors hosting the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are on a back-to-back. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights also. Last night, Graham and Rozier, their 2 guards, played 36, 37 minutes or so. So they played pretty heavy minutes last night. And what's more important, that Hayward left the game in the 3rd quarter with a hip strain. He is averaging 22 points. He's the primary scorer of this team. So, I mean, you need him in the lineup. I don't think they have anyone who can put this many points up if he is out. I think the current line is of -8 is decent. So this would be probably Toronto around -5 if these squads were on equal rest. But as I said, extra rest for Toronto, bad travel spot for the Hornets, and obviously there is the Hayward thing. I think if Hayward is out, this moves up a bit to like 9.5, even -10. I could totally see that. But the game is off the board right now on Pinnacle. I don't know why the odds screen is showing this, but the game is off the board. You cannot bet it right now. We've seen some improvements for the Raptors on the offensive end. They have a plus 1.9 point differential through the last 2 weeks, but I mean, defensively on the other end, they have regressed. So they are the 26th best defense through the last 2 weeks. So on one side they got better, on the other side they got worse. it's still not a great team, and still not a team I want to lay many points with. They face the bottom 10 schedule. I mean, yeah, it's not easy to lay this many points with the team. But through the last 2 weeks, they've put up 118 points per possession. I mean, that's top five. So yeah, you have to note that they are figuring something out offensively. And I'm still trying to fade Charlotte down the line a bit against better teams. They are a bottom five offense, and defensively they are around league average. I think the way to play this is if Hayward plays and this still keeps going up, you have to play probably the Hornets if this gets to like a 9 or a 10. But if Hayward is out, you should probably skip the game, all in all. All right, next game is a one where I think the line is a bit off. This will be more interesting. So the Spurs are hosting the Rockets, and they are laying 6.5 points. A couple of soft books have this up. Bet365 has a Spurs minus 5.5 up. What we have to note is that if everyone plays for both teams, I would probably make this close to a pick'em. So the Rockets have John Wall out. They have Daniel House out. Obviously, Harden is not there anymore, and Eric Gordon is questionable. So, yeah, I think Gordon will have to play, as they don't really have too many NBA caliber players, and he will need to run the show here. But if we just check, like, Harden obviously lost, Wall out, and House out, that's probably an 8 to 9 point move towards the Spurs that we have to make. So I don't think this 6 point covers it. Again, DeRozan is he was out for 2 games, but he has been upgraded to questionable. So there is a decent shot that he will play here. If he's out, I think this -6 is probably okay. But if he plays, this should be probably closer to 9 in my opinion. The Spurs aren't a good team. I'm always bashing them, but they know how to beat teams who have huge injury issues or huge flaws. They know how to plan around these shortcomings. Houston is 29th in offensive rebounding and 30th in defensive rebounding. That's a key area where I think the Spurs will have a huge edge. And still, if you look at the Rockets through the season, I mean, they missed Harden for multiple games, etc. But still, they aren't a good offense nor a defense. So yeah, missing so many key pieces. Basically, they will only have Gordon and Wood, who I would consider decent players. But Wood has been so bad on the defensive end, and yes, he can score, but defensively he isn't adding too much. And the Spurs have loads of depth players. I mean, they don't have these high-end talent on the bench, but they do have guys who are serviceable NBA level players, and the Rockets don't really have it now with this many players out. So yeah, I think if you have Spurs minus 5.5, 6.5, it's a bet to make. Sit on that line. If DeRozan is out, I don't think this gets better. I mean, worse than -6, but maybe you can cash it out then or hedge. But I think if he plays, this will move towards the Spurs. This is a game that the Rockets will probably just punt. They simply barely have enough players to field the squad of 8 that is needed to play this. And the Spurs are fully healthy, and if DeRozan is back, they are fully healthy. And even without him, they are just so deep and well coached, and they are made to beat up on bad teams or teams that are missing half of their players or even more. So yeah, Spurs is a good look in my opinion here. Next game, Golden State Warriors in Denver. Denver opened up as a 6-point favorite. The line is down to Denver -4.5, -5-ish. I think the line is perfect. I make this Denver -5. I think if the line is keeps coming down, we would eventually have to look at the Nuggets here. Two notes: Gary Harris is questionable for Denver, and obviously they still won't have Michael Porter Jr., who has been out for like 2 weeks, the bigger part of the season. And the Nuggets have been better with him out, to be honest. If we check all offensive and defensive metrics, they have been much better. The defense is also slightly improving. I was bashing them because their defense has been bottom 5-ish to start the season. But now through the last 2 weeks, it has been improving considerably. And if you check their offense, they are fourth in points per possession, third in effective field goal percentage, fifth in offensive rebounding. I mean, the rebounding disadvantage here for Golden State will be huge. They are like fifth worst in defensive rebounding, and the defense is still not there yet. They're 17th in points per possession allowed. They allow a pretty high effective field goal percentage rate. I mean, nothing is really outlandish besides the bad rebounding, but this is a team that can beat you if you don't have rebounding, and that's not an edge you want to give to Denver generally. And as I said, the Denver defense has been improving a lot through the last 2 weeks, despite facing some decent teams. And this is a 228 total, so it's the highest total, yeah, of course, on the 5-game slate right now. And I still have issues with the Golden State offense, to be honest. If you check, Curry is putting up 122 points per 100 shot attempts. That's top 20 in the league. But from the core rotation, the next efficient guy is Wiggins, who is putting up 108. That's a bottom 30% in the whole NBA. So it's like it's an insane difference between Curry and the rest of the guys, and everyone is well below league average when it comes to scoring efficiency besides Curry. So yeah, this will be a high-scoring game. Golden State's defense won't be able to slow down Denver, in my opinion. I think Denver will be able to score, and I'm just not sure if the Warriors can hang with them, unless Curry, of course, puts up 60 again, because he can do it any night, as we know. But yeah, I think the line is correct. I don't have an edge, but leaning towards Denver. And if this gets down to 4, I think that probably warrants a small bet on Denver. And don't forget, this is at elevation. It's one of the remaining home court advantages. I mean, we don't have a crowd, but elevation is still something you have to factor in. So yeah, I'm giving Denver some home field here. I think if this gets to 4, that's a side to look at. Last game on the board, it's another interesting one, another one where I have a slight lean. No real numbers edge here either. I mean, on a 5-game slate, you can probably expect a bit more efficient lines. The odds makers don't have to line like 15 games. So yeah, this is the Portland Blazers at home hosting the Indiana Pacers, obviously, who will be without Oladipo. Levert won't be able to play yet. He has to go through all the medical checkups, etc. So the Portland Blazers are on a back-to-back with travel, and they played extremely high minutes last night. Lillard played 42, McCollum 43 minutes. So yeah, the guards especially put up high minutes last night. And as I said against the Kings, I expected them to blow the Kings up, as the Kings have been the worst defense in the league for the last 2 weeks. -10 against the closing spreads on average. The point differential is insanely bad. All defensive stats bottom 3. So yes, this is a huge step up for the Blazers to face defensively. I mean, the Spurs right now, I rank them as the 8th best defense in the league. They allow the 8th lowest points per possession. They force the 5th highest turnover rate. And yeah, the Portland offense is top 10, no question about it. But this is a legit defense they will face, and they will be on tired legs. And on the other side, if we check the Portland defense, it's not much better than the Kings defense that they played last night. And we've seen the Kings have been up by 20 in that game, and they had great success scoring on the Blazers. So Portland is the defense is 26th in points per possession allowed, 26th in effective field goal percentage, and they barely force any turnovers. I mean, it's not looking good for Portland here, in my opinion. They are a slightly better offense than the Pacers, but a way worse defense, and obviously they will be tired. I mean, after playing 40 minutes in such a huge game, high pace, I don't think anyone will tell you that you shouldn't downgrade the Blazers a bit. So yeah, stylistically, I also like this matchup for the Pacers. I have been talking about it that they are the team that gets to the rim the most. Most of their shooting comes from within 4 feet of the rim. They are by far the most efficient team when it comes to just getting to the basket. And the Blazers are relying 64 shooting percentage close to the rim. So it's they aren't a great defense when it comes to defending these attacks to the rim. So yeah, I think stylistically this is great. One thing you have to ask yourself is how much do you downgrade the Pacers for not having Oladipo? And I mean, I've been saying that Oladipo is a great player, but these Pacers squads, even with Warren now, they do have some depth, and we have to note that Oladipo hasn't been great defensively this year. The team is, I think, around -8 points on average defensively when he's on the floor. And if you see Oladipo's scoring efficiency, it hasn't been that great. 106 points per 100 shot attempts. That's bottom 35% in the league. So yeah, he has almost had a 30% usage rate. So, but it's not like that. That extra usage rate will fall to bad players. I mean, if you see how well the Pacers have been playing, they have a couple of guys who are on breakout seasons. So yeah, I think on fully rested, even without Oladipo, if you are getting a few points here, it isn't the worst deal. I make it around Portland -1, so it's we may find a small numbers edge on the Pacers once this comes back. I know that some soft books have Pacers +2.5 up. That's a line I would probably bet for a smaller bet. But yeah, you could look at the money line here. I think the Pacers will be able to win this game. And I know the Portland Blazers look real fun, but the fundamentals aren't there, and defensively they are still terrible. And I know everyone likes these high-scoring games, but they don't play really efficient basketball. And we could even see one of their stars sit here. We don't normally see it with them, but I mean, 42, 43 minutes last night. That's something else, and this will be a difficult game for the Blazers, in my opinion. All right, I will sum it up. So first game, Sixers Heat. This will be a huge spread. Heat won't have the core players. Sixers will have almost everyone back from the COVID protocol. No bet. Raptors Hornets, again a game where I think this line could move towards the Raptors a bit if Hayward is out, and I don't think he will play. The injury looked pretty bad last night. So, but I don't really want to lay 10 points with this Raptors team that has been very, very bad defensively. Bottom 5, even against an easy schedule. So Spurs Rockets, I lean Spurs here. The Rockets won't have basically the best players, and Gordon will play. In my opinion, he's questionable, but he isn't 100%. I think you have to factor that in. One status to monitor is DeRozan on the Spurs side. He is questionable. That was an upgrade after he was out for 2 games. If he plays, this 6 is a good deal with the Spurs, even 6.5. Maybe I would even bet a 7 if he plays. But yeah, we will see where Pinnacle opens and if he ends up playing eventually or not. Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors. I think the line is perfect right now, but it is moving towards Golden State, and I think this has to stop right now. If this gets to 4, I would bet the Nuggets. They will have a huge rebounding advantage, and even with MPG out and Gary Harris questionable, I think 4 is a very good deal to pass up with the Nuggets. And as for the last game, Blazers Pacers. I lean a bit towards the Pacers because this is a great matchup for them, in my opinion. And the Blazers have been playing heavy minutes, and I think the Pacers won't miss Oladipo that much as maybe this line expects it. We don't see what the line Pinnacle will hang, but we could see probably something around Blazers -2 or maybe even 3. At 3, I would definitely bet the Pacers. So yeah, this is a game to also follow through the day. We have an 8-game slate tomorrow. Already 2 games cancelled, but if the 8-game slate plays, we will have some action, and we have some great games tomorrow. The Mavericks travel to the Bucks. We have Lakers Pelicans rematch. The Jazz hosting the Hawks. So yeah, if this goes through, we will have a decent slate tomorrow. And we will also start to talk about some hockey in the next few weeks, probably. Obviously, most teams haven't played yet. We'll need some more data, but I will be talking about hockey a bit also. There will be good betting opportunities there. So, thanks for joining me today. I will be back at the same time tomorrow. Please follow me on Twitter at The Barrel Zone. And if you want to tell my plays and read my written analysis that I post on all games every morning, you can go to patreon.com/The Barrel Zone. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.